Good afternoon. I'm Don Cook. I'm Vice President of Legislative Affairs with the Georgia Society of CPAs. I am your lobbyist. Happy to be here today at the end of week 7, reporting on what took place and looking forward already to week 8. Week 8 is going to be a busy week, just like this week was, because next week is one of the key deadlines coming up on at the end of next week is March 6th, which is crossover day. And what that simply means is that all bills that were considered in the House have to move over to the Senate by Friday, and vice versa. If they were considered in the Senate, they need to move over to the House by that Friday deadline. So this week, week 7, lawmakers continue to advance a number of priority bills and legislation down there, especially as we approach that crossover deadline. Budget discussions, obviously, those remain front and center. They're looking at the fiscal year 2026 budget in terms of the amended budget, and so that actually passed through the House and Senate this week, and so there are specific budgetary proposals to finish up the current fiscal year. Those have passed through and headed to the governor's desk for his signature, and then they're also ramping up conversations on what the final budget for 26-27 looks like as well. So those conversations are all advancing. As always, we are going to continue monitoring any of the provisions that could impact either tax administration, agency funding, or budgets like the Georgia State Board of Accountancy. And obviously, we're going to pay close attention to the Department of Revenue's budget as well, just for their operational capacity. And speaking of Department of Revenue, on the tax front, there's a lot of tax legislation that's happened this year. Conversations are continuing around the conformity bill, which I know is later than any of us would like, but thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, there are a lot of things for them to consider, so they're making sure they look at everything. The House has, obviously at this point, conformity has passed out of the House, and that's House Bill 1199. The Senate has been considering it this week, so it hit Senate Finance Committee. Finance has approved it, although there was a small change in lowering the low-income housing tax credit. So there was a small change in that piece of conformity. But outside of that, it should be headed to rules this week coming up. My hope is it could be considered as early as Wednesday, and hopefully it doesn't go as far as Friday. But my hope is that it comes up on the Senate floor for a vote on Wednesday. Additionally, we're also tracking several professional licensure bills and regulatory type bills that could have an impact on the broader business community and CPAs as well. As these measures move through committee, we're making sure that the CPA profession's voice is represented and that policymakers understand where we sit, what the practical implications of their proposals are, and how to make adjustments if adjustments need to be made. As always, we will keep you informed as legislation advances, especially as key votes approach. Thank you again for staying engaged to this process, and we look forward to seeing you next week at the Gold Dome. Thank you.